All right. Good evening, everybody. I trust you can hear me. Please, Mr. Elvis, can you confirm to me that you can hear me so we can proceed?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Can I be heard?
Yes,
Yes,
I
we
can hear
can
you
hear
properly.
you.
Yes.
Hello.
We can hear you,
Yes,
Paul.
we can hear you, Paul. We can hear you.
All right. So we just proceed. It has been an amazing section for now. Uh, we are here again for the second section to give more brief on the putting up a winning scholarship for the Chevening. The first section was amazing. It was a whole lot. Thanks to Oge for that brief section we had the last time. And also thanks to Mr. Chinonso Stephen. So actually here again for the last section to give you more details about the Chevening scholarship and to also show you ways you can put in a good one for the Chevening scholarship. If you're watching this live on YouTube, if you're connected to us, subscribe to the YouTube link so that you can get more info about the project and about the scholarship. So without wasting much time, I will give one minute to the speaker to just introduce themselves once again, and we'll proceed from there. So over to, I'll start from Oge. Can you please just introduce yourself in 1 minute so you can, prospect can get to know you. Then thereafter, Mr. Elvis will come on board. All right, Madam Oge, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in once again. My name is Ogechi Aduku, and I was a Chevening scholar in the 2018-2019 cohort. I studied renewable energy and renewable energy engineering at the University of Aberdeen. We hope that you'll be able to gain some good insight into how to structure a good essay for your application. Stay tuned. Thank you. No, so you can go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. And my name is Chukunonso Elvis Stephen, and I was a Chevening scholar in 2019/2020. And I studied environmental pollution and remediation at the prestigious University of Aberdeen. Thank you.
All right, it's actually nice to meet both of you. It's actually mine to have great minds like you, dish out knowledge and values scholarship. Like I mentioned before, now we never take your presence for granted. All right, now we're going straight to the real deal. We're going straight to the reason why we are here. And I'll be handing over to Mr. Elvis to kick off with the floor for us. All right, Mr. Elvis, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. So, um, okay, let me just check up the slide. Okay. One of the very first essays that you would encounter in the Chevening Scholarship is the leadership essay. So it's you're gonna find something like this. Chevening is looking for an individuals who are gonna be future leaders and who can make influence in their homes, in their home countries. You need to explain how you meet the requirements and show examples of leadership, and how your influencing skills was able to showcase leadership. So one of the most important thing in this in writing an essay in general is to have a proper structure. So in this leadership essay, you should naturally have your introduction, your body, and you should have a concluding paragraph. personally, how I go about it, introduction, you have your personal view, and for the body, you want to talk, you want to strength, you want to use the STAR approach. And if you look at above, the STAR approach is where you have your situation, task, action, and result. Um, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown about do's and don'ts in this particular essay. Firstly, don't lie, because lying is actually easy to detect. When you are writing something that is not true, it's going to actually show by the time you're actually it's going to show in the write-up, and if someone's reading it, it's going to find out that yes, this person doesn't actually this couldn't have been done. So another thing again is you want to use simple terms. Like, this is one another issue that that's quite popular. People want to, because they are actually submitting the essays, and it's a UK funded scholarship, so they feel they have to use big grammars from every Oxford dictionary that they could find. No, it's good to use simple terms like that people can understand. Yes, so it's not it's not an essay to test your English capacity. It's an essay to actually for you to express yourself about things you have actually done. So that's one good thing. So you have to be honest. You have to actually use as much as you can quantify what you've done. It's actually very good. But I think we're going to hear more of that in the coming minute. Um, but basically, you want to follow the very important rules that we have in writing, which is to have a short introduction and remember the word count is just 500. So you don't want to exceed. Some people have lots of information to put in together and have issues trying to condense information. As much as possible, you need to put in as much. Uh, um, you need to piece in all the relevant information in your essays. Ensure that you have and ensure that you have as much information concerning that situation that you've actually been through, that you've actually experienced, as much as in a clear and very concise manner. So, so I think that will be all for the short introduction about the leadership essay and what you should and what you shouldn't do exactly. So you shouldn't write too lengthy stuffs or too lengthy paragraphs. You shouldn't use difficult words that because you're writing to people who actually own English language. So you, by the time you use some grammars that you use, you don't even know how it's supposed to be used. It might actually come back to haunt you in some way. So it's best to go with simple English, be honest, and be able to quantify your experiences. So I would stop here for now, and let me so get take us on the essay properly.
Okay, thank you, Elvis, for that introduction. Okay, I'll just reiterate on some of the points you raised. I want to remind every aspiring Chevening scholar that, first of all, remember that in structuring your essays, the essay is about you. It is about you and what you have done or what you have achieved so far or what you intend to achieve. Then you also need to understand that the essay is your first point of contact with your assessor. So when you do your application, I believe the applications generally pass through an automated system. But your first contact with a human assessor will be in the reading of your essay. So you aim, as you're writing the essay, your aim is to captivate the reader. Just like I said previously, if you want to read a novel, once you pick up a novel and open it, the first page or even the first few sentences are enough to determine whether you continue with the novel or whether you drop it. So same thing with your essay. So your essays should be a blend of a narrative and an expository write-up where you are telling a story about yourself. Okay, so remember, it should not be boring. It should not be boring. You should be able to make the reader curious to read till the end. You know, your aim is to hold the reader spellbound so that you are distinct and you stand out. Remember, these people are reading thousands of essays from all over the world. So your aim is to make your own, that unforgettable story that they will remember. So we all know the essay topics. You need to read the essay topics very well and know exactly what they are asking for. And remember, each of your essay must address every point in the topic. None should be left unanswered. So you explain how you meet the requirements that they are requesting for in the question, and your answer should outline how you hope to meet the requirements with the skills that you have. So generally, the essay should be coherent, they should be focused, and they should show clarity of thoughts. Okay, then we can't overemphasize the fact that your grammar is very important. Remember, this is a story, so you need to be careful of your tenses. You need to ensure your punctuations are where they should be. You need to avoid repetition, meaning you should remember you're going to study in the UK, so at least you should show that you have a good grasp of the English language. It is not, it doesn't mean that you should use heavy grammar, you know, just like Elvis explained, but you should also show that you are conversant with synonyms. You know, that can easily be achieved using your dictionary and finding synonyms of a word that seems to be popping up repeatedly in your essay. So without wasting further time, let's move straight to our leadership essay, which is the first essay. Okay? So again, you need to keep it simple. Now, Elvis talked about the STAR approach. When we are talking about the STAR approach, what we mean is you're telling a story, and in each of the story that you're telling, each story should first of all present a situation. Then the story should also talk about the task that needs to be done. Then the story must show the action that you took. Now, this is very important. That is why I started by saying your essays are all about you. So the reader wants to know the action that you took yourself, even if it is in collaboration with others, but the role you played must stand out. The role you played must be specific. Then each story must also showcase your achievement, the results that you achieved when you took the action with the situation that faced you, okay? Now, the word count per essay is 500. And I think they say a minimum of 50 words and a maximum of 500 words. You must make sure that you keep within the word count. It is better to fall short. It's better to fall below 500 than to exceed 500 by even one word. Now, in one of the slides that Nonso spoke about, he said, tell a story. You will be surprised, because when we say tell a story, I'm sure one of the first things you will ask yourself is, how can I tell a story properly in 500 words? Well, I am here to tell you tonight that you can not, in fact, you can actually write 3 stories with space to spare in 500 words. It depends on how you are, how you skillfully manage your word and the space that you have. So if you're going to tell a story that will hold your reader spellbound, if you're going to tell a story that will showcase you as a very versatile person, you would definitely need more than one story to pass that message across. So my advice to us will be, in your leadership essay, try as much as possible to fit in at least 2 distinct stories and at most 3 distinct stories within your essay. This is for the leadership and the networking essay. Now, when you talk of leadership, number 1, please avoid definitions. You don't have space, you don't have time for definition. Everybody knows what a leader is defined as in the dictionary. So you don't need to repeat that in your essay. You need to reserve the word count for more useful things and more important things. It's okay to start with your philosophy on leadership, probably just a line or 2. That can serve as an introduction in your leadership essay. Then you now need to dive in and tell a story of how you have showed or you have showcased yourself as a leader or as a potential leader. Now, so please, can you go back to that leadership question, the essay question? Okay. Future leaders, influencers. So the essence of this essay is to show that you are a potential leader, you are a future leader, or you are already a leader in your own right, no matter how little, you know, no matter how little you've been able to showcase yourself as a leader. Remember, every leadership experience counts. Okay, so I would imagine that all of us will have, if we think very well, you will have numerous stories, you know, to showcase yourself as a leader. I will advise you to choose the ones that portray you best as a leader. So it means you write down a couple of stories, then you sift through them and pick the ones that showcase your leadership skills the most. Okay? So when you're talking of leadership, there are many places that you could have showcased your leadership skills, either in school, either in a fellowship, either in the mosque, either in a voluntary organization where you volunteered, even in your home, you know, or in the office, definitely in the workplace. So my advice would be to choose 2 or 3 unique stories that showcase your leadership skills in various situations. Okay, so if you're going to talk about a professional scenario, it is also good to showcase yourself as a leader in another aspect, you know, not just professionally, but also in another, you know, in another scenario. So Chevening wants to see a well-rounded human being. Chevening wants to see somebody that is very versatile. You understand? It's not just talking of yourself in a one scenario situation, maybe just professionally. It could sound boring. So they want to see you showcase or manifest your leadership skills in various scenarios. So pick 2 or 3 very unique ones and craft your story around them. And please, trust me, if you think deep enough, you will come up with amazing stories that showcase your skills. There is no need to lie. Seriously, everybody should be able to come up with multiple stories of how you have showcased yourself as a leader. You just need to think deep enough and you will come up with something very good. Okay, so like I said, it could be a position in church or in a club or at work, or maybe where you have volunteered. It could even be how you stood up for somebody, you know, how maybe somebody was being attacked, or somebody was facing some challenges and you stood up for the person. That is a clear sign of, that's a clear leadership skill. Do you understand? It could be where you promoted something, you know, maybe you advocated for a particular thing, you know, and it will be good if you're able to talk about the things that are, you know, relatable with things like gender, things like climate change, things like good governance, you know, policies, things that your readers can relate with, things to show that you are global minded, you understand, and not just myopic. So, before I round up on this leadership essay, I am going to just give a short example. Okay, so for instance, you could tell a story. I'm going to use an example from my own essay, but I am not, of course, I'll paraphrase the story. So, but this is to give you an idea of what you can use. So in one of my own essays, I used 3 stories. I used one that happened around my environment, and I used another. Then the 2 of the others were okay, actually fitting 4 stories in my essay, and it was still below 300 words, below 500 words, sorry. So one of my story was around my environment. The other 3 were professionally related stories. And this is understandable because I have a lot of years of experience at work. So in one of my very good examples, I used an example of where I stood up for somebody in the office who was being harassed. So my nature of work, you know, I work mostly among men, you know, and in one of the cases, out of the few females that were in my work environment, there was an incident. And ordinarily, that incident would have been overlooked, being that the lady in question was not a staff, if I may put it like that, not a staff of the company. She was more like an ad hoc attendant, you know, with a supplier. You understand? So, but an incident happened. And if I didn't get to know about it, that story would have been swept under the carpet. But when I heard about it, I took it up. In fact, I personally made sure that the person who harassed the lady was disciplined. You understand? And the funny part was the people, my supervisors at that time were actually trying to sweep it under the carpet. But I stood up for the girl and like, if nothing is done, maybe tomorrow it could be me. Then who will stand up for me? So this was with this story, I crafted part of my essay around this story, and it made a paragraph of my story. And you know the funny part, this same story and this same example also was part of the answer I gave during the interview. And I can assure you that it was memorable because my interviewers at the interview stage remembered the story. You understand? So that's just a brief idea of the kind of stories that you can craft your essays around to make it memorable, to make it stand out. So quickly, we move on to the networking essay. Now, for me, I found the networking essay as the most challenging for me, because up until the time I started writing the essay, I know the meaning of networking, but it didn't strike a chord. I didn't fully understand what it means to actually network. So networking is actually for the assessor to gauge your ability to connect. Because like we said in our first session, Chevening is one of those few scholarships that is not so much about your academic achievements. Chevening is more interested in seeing leaders, in making leaders, in showcasing leaders. So if you are a first-class student, beautiful, it's also good. But if you are an average student and you're able to get an admission in a UK university and you're able to showcase strong leadership skills, I can guarantee you that Chevening is looking for somebody like you. And you even stand more chance than the person who may be like a high flyer academically, but may not have some of the skills that Chevening is looking for. So networking is to gauge your ability to connect and engage with others. Not just to connect and engage with others, but to strategically leverage on that connection to achieve a greater goal. I hope that's not too complex. Okay, so that is what Chevening means by asking you the networking question. So in the networking question, you should be able to prove once again that you are vast, that you are versatile, that you easily relate with people, that you easily engage with people, and that you are able to make something out of that relationship. So the networking essay is all about relationships and what you do with relationships. Okay? I hope so far we are we are getting something. Okay.
Certainly.
Okay. So networking is also not limited to just your work environment. The networking essay should also cut across every aspect of your life. So both professional, both social, both spiritual, both even emotional, the networking essay should show your assessor, should tell your assessor more about you. In the leadership essay, yes, we try to show that, yes, we can lead, we can make impact, Now, in the networking essay, they want to know more about you. They want to see another aspect of you. So my advice to people is, let your networking essay not just be professional. Try and build a story around other aspects of your life. It could be how you met with somebody at the gym, and next thing, you struck up a relationship. And next thing, that relationship translated to something that helped you achieve something in the future. That is the kind of story they want to read in the networking essay. Then another important thing about the networking essay. Should we go ahead? It's like we lost Paul, or he dropped off. Do we go ahead? So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can see him too. Yes, I'm hearing you very well. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Do we go ahead?
Yes, we can proceed. 'Cause I think maybe he'll be back
Okay.
because we are still live.
Okay. All right. So another thing about the networking essay is, in this essay, the assessor wants to understand whether you are the kind of person that will be an asset to the Chevening alumni body. Because remember, there are many cohorts of Chevening scholars that have gone before, and all of us are actually in an alumni association. And we do things together. We are in a group, you know, we try to do things to make our countries better. So Chevening wants to get an idea whether you are the kind of person that will be an asset to the alumni community. So this is also part of what you should showcase in your essay. Now, just like in the leadership essay, you need to tell a story. You need to be specific in your story, and you need to showcase what you did. Okay, so I'm also going to once more go to my own personal essay and talk about one of the examples I used. So I think one of the striking things, one of the striking stories I remember in my essay is I told the story of how I organized an event for my previous employer, you know. So it was more like an end of year party, and it had never been done before in the particular base where I worked in. So I practically organized it from beginning to end, you know. So I was able to build on that story. Then I was able to link the fact that while planning for that event, a relationship I had made in the past from another event that I organized came in handy, because I was able to get a venue discount. I was able to get a discount for the venue of the event by that, from the relationship that I had already struck up with the events manager of the particular venue. So I was able to get a reasonable discount, and the summary of it all was that our party went on very well. It was a good one. It was memorable. And I was able to even make more connections in that party, which eventually translated to my getting the link for a training that I have been meaning to do for a long time. So the way I wove the story made it interesting, I believe. And also, you know, it clearly showcases the fact that, first of all, I'm very sociable. Then second, I was able to leverage on a connection I had made earlier to achieve something that was of benefit to both myself and my organization. Do you understand? So these are the kinds of stories that your assessor is looking for. Now, I understand that for a lot of us, maybe we actually don't have a lot of these stories to put. But my advice will be, use your imagination. Please take note. I said use your imagination. I did not say tell a lie. Now, let me use myself as an example. So in the process of writing this network essay, it became clear to me that there were some things I needed to put down that were not already in place. So what did I do? I went ahead to put them in my essay. For instance, I think I mentioned that I own a blog, you know, and as at the time I was submitting this essay, that blog was not yet formed. But I went ahead, I put it in the essay. Then immediately I submitted my essay, I went to WordPress and I opened the blog. And I made sure I kept running the blog until, you know, in fact, the blog was up and running by the time I was shortlisted for my interview. So what I'm trying to say is, even if there's some, for instance, as you're writing the essay, it is obvious that for you to prove that you are a global-minded person, you need to show some proof that maybe you belong to an international association or organization, or that you've attended some events and all that. So if at the time you're writing the essay, you don't have these things on ground already, just write them, but make sure you go ahead and put them in place after you are done with your essay, so that ultimately you would not have told a lie. Because remember, if you are shortlisted for an interview, you will defend everything you wrote. And if anything you wrote is not true, you will have a hard time defending what you wrote. Okay? So I added a lot of things in my essay. I talked about how I was part of a fundraising committee and the role I played. I talked of my role as a Sunday school teacher, and the things, how my interactions, and my relationship with my students translated into something of benefit, mutual benefit to us. So all these and more are part of the things I put down. And these are also examples of some of the things that you can write, you can talk about. How are we for time? Do I continue?
Yes, you can proceed.
I can continue.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay. So it's do I enter the career essay right now, or will there be?
Yes, if you're done with the networking, we can just have a 2-minute break, then we'll proceed.
Okay. So yes, please go ahead, Manso.
Okay. We didn't add about how to the concluding part of the, like, how they will be able to make contributions to the Chevening community. And okay, I think that's another thing again. By the time you are concluding your paragraphs, you need to have conclude, especially the networking. It's how you are going to contribute to the Chevening community. Contributing in such a way that you're not like paying money or any stuff. It's how you are going to participate in the Chevening event, and how you are going to, like Mrs. Oge said, we are actually a part of, by the time if you get a scholarship, you're going to be a part of the Chevening network, the Chevening alumni network. So how are you going to leverage the links you're going to get here? Maybe you could say you want to, like for me, I talked about the fact that I wanted to do like a project and actually share some of these ideas with other like-minded people in the community. Also, in the leadership, also when you are concluding, also you need to state how the Chevening scholarship is going to help you improve as a leader. So it doesn't have to be very long, very, very short, just how the Chevening scholarship is going to help you improve as a leader. So those are like the last things I think that can be added.
All right, Mr. Evis, are you done?
Yes, sure, done.
All right. There's actually a whole lot. I believe those people on YouTube are getting value. If you're going to be watching this, you're going to be seeing this later on, you're going to be getting much more value. And at the course of the section, if you have a question you want to ask, you can drop it on the YouTube link. We'll pick it there and probably have our coordinators handle this concern for you. All right, before we go on to the next section, we just have a 2-minute break, just to allow our speaker to get a grasp of themselves so they can come back and continue the amazing section. It has been a whole lot. I believe we are getting value. So they actually took out their time to break down this thing for us. If you were at the first section, you would know that they're actually giving it all their best shots. They've been there before. They know how they can actually,
you can actually scale through the scholarship. I believe Madam Ogi and Mr. Evis, they put up for the scholarship just once and they actually scale through. This is the more reason we need to pay keen attention to whatever they are dishing out to us, the value they are giving to us. This is the more reason we need to pay attention to them and get all the things we can get. Because I actually went through, when I saw the Chevening scholarship, I was thinking it's just like every other scholarship. But then I noticed it's quite different because they normally do educational fair in Abuja almost every time at Sheraton. One is actually coming up. I think this few weeks from now. They do it every time here and there in Abuja. That was when I heard about Chevening. But then I was not up to scholarship level. I was still in school when I heard about it, so I couldn't actually put up for it. But I know it was an amazing offer. I know it was an amazing offer. I knew I was going to put up for it when the time comes. So I never knew it was this much more amazing like this. A full scholarship for 1 year, and there are much more incentive attached to it. When Mr. Evis was actually telling me about it, it was a whole lot. So apart from that, there's a whole lot of experience attached to it too. So they're actually taking their time to break down this thing for us. My pen and paper is here, even though it's a recorded section. My pen and paper is here. I wouldn't want to miss out on anything. I also indulge you to not to miss out on anything, all right? Because they took out their time to make this section work for us. And bring to our notice, this is actually going to be the final section for Chevening because they are ready to actually dish out everything for us. So every other person that will be coming on board to listen to this session will have to go to YouTube to listen to it. And this is a disclaimer from us. We are in no way representing the Chevening body. All right, we take out our time just to do this to help people who are applying for the scholarship to scale through. Because I noticed information is power and information is key. I first of all put up for this Chevening scholarship, that was last year, but I noticed I wasn't having enough information I could have to actually scale through. But certainly this year is going to be different. I know it's also going to be different for each and every one of us. Somebody chatted me on Facebook when he saw the flyer. That was yesterday. I was like saying, I've started the whole process, but I've not written down my essay. I'm stuck at the essay part. I was like, okay, the essay is actually the main thing here. The essay is actually the main cuckoo and the main gist of everything here. So why not put up for this section? I think the person is in YouTube. Now, why not put up for this section and see how the section can actually translate to value for you? All right, I think our speakers have actually gotten a little graphs. So if you're ready to come on board, you can let me know, okay? Elvis, you can also let me know too, so we can proceed and hit up the next section as quick as possible. All right, if you're ready, just let me know so we can proceed.
Oh yes, ready? We can proceed.
So who is going up
Okay,
first?
okay, I'll just put up a brief of introduction on
Okay.
the career plan. Mr. G can dive into more details. Okay, for the career plan, I call this the final shot you have at expressing yourself. Whatever it is, it's the last thing that I'm going to see about you. Like, this is a very, very crucial section because by the time you have said how you are a great leader, how you are a great at networking, and how you've decided 3 amazing schools you want to attend, you now need to let them know why they should actually put in a lot of money. Like, more, we are talking about a lot of money. This is where you actually let them know what your plans are. Because if you're going to meet certain investors to invest in your business, you would at least let them know what they stand to gain at the end of the day by actually investing in your business. So that's what this career plan essay is all about. You have to let them know what are you going to do by the time you have gained this particular knowledge. And one key rule, like when we talk about the STAR approach in the leadership and the STAR approach for networking, in career plan, there's a principle that we call the SMART approach. And if you can look this up on Google, and but it basically your essay has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, it has to be realistic, and it has to be time bound. So this is just a brief introduction, and Ms. Soge is going to dive deeper into this particular essay, because it's actually where you need, I think it's the final shot you have at telling anyone why they should spend more than 50,000 pounds on you, or more than 40,000 pounds on you. So you need to have clear goals. And this particular essay is actually very good, because sometimes I actually go back and look at mine and I'm like, wow, I did say I'm going to do this between now and then. And it's apart from just writing it for the scholarship, it really helped me as a person. Like, I was able to document what I wanted to do by this period, what I wanted to do by that period. And it's more like a commitment to myself, like, okay, yes, I could, this is what I need to do by this period. And this is not the time to say you want to remain in the UK, or you want to run away from the hardship in, or you want to use this opportunity to run away from Nigeria. Don't do that. Yeah, so I think I would actually stop here and not bore you with the boring stuff, and let's go into the essays properly. Over to you, Ms. Sugi.
Okay, thank you, Elvis. So picking up from what Elvis just said. So the essence of the career essay is to show clearly. I think if we can see the slide, it says Chevening is looking for individuals who have a clear post-study career plan. So I think in that first sentence, the key word there is clear. So the essence of this essay is to show clearly your specific intention to return to your home country and apply the skills and the knowledge that you have acquired into building your country. So that is the number one thing that Chevening wants to see in this essay. So the prompt goes ahead to say that you should please outline your immediate plans upon returning home and your longer-term career goals. Now, this means that in this particular essay, it is expected that you break it down into your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Then you can even go ahead to break it further down into, into short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. Okay, so ideally, in form of paragraphs, each goal, like your short-term goal should be a paragraph, your mid-term goal should be a second paragraph, and your longer-term goal should be another paragraph. Just like your other essays, the career plan essay must as well have an introduction. And the introduction must clearly state the major issue that you are hoping to tackle on your return back to your country. So it is now that major issue that you're seeking to tackle, that is what will now be broken down into short-term, long-term, short-term, mid-term, and long-term, where you will now have more time and space to expatiate on each of the, on how that goal, your goal can be broken down into achievable time-bound portions. Okay. Also, just like Elvis mentioned, this is actually more like your career manifesto. In fact, he wasn't kidding, because even for me, every now and then, I go back to look at it. And surprisingly, somehow, since I came back from the UK, my career path has actually taken the identical form of what I put down in my essay. I can assure you that it wasn't intentional, you know, because you will agree with me that, yes, when we are looking for a scholarship, we write everything, even the ones we can do and the ones we can't do. And that's another thing. For this essay, I would want to encourage you to think big, dream big. It's allowed. Remember, this particular essay, unlike the others, is not talking of what you have done in the past. This particular essay is talking about what you hope to do, what you hope to achieve. So in this one, there is room to think big and think large, and sell that your big dream to the assessor to also buy it with you and see it as a reason to invest in you. Okay? So we've already talked of how to paragraph the sections. Now, when you, to reiterate on the style of the essay, so we've already talked of applying the SMART model: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So since you're going to be dividing your essays in your plan in like 3 mini paragraphs, for each of the paragraphs, you will apply the SMART model, meaning anything you say you are going to do as a plan, you must be specific about that plan. You must show how the plan can be measurable. You must prove in that same paragraph that the plan is realistic and achievable. And of course, the fact that we said it is short-term is already time-bound. So when we say short-term, we're looking at, I believe, 1 to 3 years. When we talk of mid-term, we're looking like 4 to 6 years. Then when we're talking long-term, we're talking 7 years and above. Okay? So I already said you think big, and you need to find a way to communicate this vision that you're seeing for yourself. You need to be able to communicate it to your assessor. Now, in being specific in each of your goals, you also need to put into cognizance the fact that your goals must be seen clearly to benefit Nigeria. It must be seen clearly to benefit UK, and it must be seen clearly to benefit Chevening as a body. That's, yes, as a body, as an alumni. So these are things that you need to put clearly in mind as you're crafting this essay. So I am going to go back now and pick an example from my own essay. Okay, so like I said in my introduction, I studied renewable energy Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm hearing an echoing sound in the background. Okay, so based on what I planned to study, so I started my career essay by simply stating the aim and my purpose of wanting to study renewable energy engineering. So all of us know that power is an issue in Nigeria. A lot of companies are shutting down. Companies don't thrive. Manufacturers don't thrive because the cost of power is too high. So that was the backdrop on which I pitched my career plan essay. So that was my first paragraph. Then I'm going to give a specific example with my, how will I say? Okay, let me use my short-term plan. So at times, it depends on your current situation. So let's assume that you are already working in the sector where you intend to continue working after your master's. In my own case, I was working in the oil and gas sector, and it means that for me to practice what I studied, for me to implement what I studied, I needed to move into the clean energy sector. So based on that, if you are already working in the sector that you intend to continue working, it is important to specify that when you come back, you can specify that you will return to your present employment and start from there. But if what you're studying is a complete change from where you were before, it is okay to still say that when you return, you're going to move into this sector, either to seek employment or to float your own business or to, to do something meaningful. So in my own case, I said that when I come back, I will join the Solar Nigeria project. Now, how did I get this idea? I went to the UK website, gov.uk website, and I tried to Google what the UK is already doing in Nigeria. And I stumbled upon the project, Solar Nigeria project, which as at the time I wrote this essay was about to round up, like it was going to round up in 2020, and I'm supposed to have finished by 2019. So I put it as part of my essay that when I come back, I will join the Solar Nigeria project. I explained a bit what the project is about. It's a DFID funded project. It implements, it's a solar electrification project for schools and hospitals. So I was able to get all that information from the website. I tweaked it and put it in my essay. Then I went ahead to say that while I am doing that, in my own personal capacity, I also intend to raise awareness, the general public awareness of renewable energy technologies. Then I tried to say how I will do that. I said that I will initiate a program either on the local TV stations or on my blog. Remember, I told you that as at the time I was writing this essay, I did not have a blog. But immediately I finished writing the essay and submitted, I went and opened my blog. So I said here that I'm going to also utilize my blog space to also talk about renewable energy technologies. Okay, so I now talked about how this initiative of mine will be measured after a particular time. So if you analyze what I just said, you will see that everything I said has every aspect of the SMART method. I was very specific. I mentioned where I intended to work. I mentioned the time. I mentioned it in such a way that it looks realistic and looks achievable. Now, we can see that, okay, this was a part of my essay. Now, can I go ahead and tell you that as I came back, even though I am not working with Solar Niger project, but I am still working with a renewable energy project. And the Solar Niger project was funded because it's closed now, was funded by the UK. The project I'm working on is funded by another development agency of another country. So what I'm trying to say is where I am now is not far-fetched. It's not far removed from what I proposed. So the point I'm trying to make, the picture I'm trying to paint is when you write these things down, just like the Bible says, you know, if you're a Christian, the Bible says in Habakkuk, where it was saying, write the vision, make it plain, that anyone that reads it will run with it. So by the time you put down all this, your plans and your ideas on paper, it's as if it galvanizes something in you and about you. And at the end of the day, you actually see your path aligning with what you have written down. So you need to write things that don't belittle yourself. Don't think you're too small. In fact, I even went ahead to say that at some point, I will definitely enter politics, you know. I put all that in my essay. So the point I'm trying to pitch to you here is think big. But as you're thinking big, make sure that it is achievable. Make sure that it is realistic. And make sure that it is measurable. And not for example, let's assume that you are interested in health. And maybe you're interested in infant mortality or something like that. And maybe as part of your target, you intend to reduce the rate of, is it infant mortality? I think so. That's the rate at which newborn babies die. So when you craft your essay, you need to be able to specifically say how you intend to reduce that by a particular percent over a particular period of time. And you need to be able to prove that it can be measured and proven that you are able to achieve that. The way I'm saying these things may look complex, but the fact is, if you actually put your mind to it, you will see that every good plan can be measured. Any plan that is not measurable, any plan that is not measurable may not be achievable, actually. So the fact that what you write down is able to be measured is a proof that that is a good plan. And that is the kind of thing that Chevening wants to see. Anybody can come and say, just like our politicians, anybody can come and say, hey, I will end hunger by the year 2023. Hey, I will flood Nigeria with light by the year 2025. But beyond saying, there is need to see the plan on ground on how that can be achieved. And if there is no plan on ground on how it can be achieved, it means that it is just mere words. It is not achievable. So, but Chevening wants to see you put down a plan that is clear, specific, realistic, achievable, and time-bound. Then at the end of your plans, you need to end. I am actually a fan of, will I say, captivating or pungent endings and beginnings. You know, because when you're writing a story, it is always good to start and end with something that will catch the attention of the readers. So I'm actually a fan of that. After you finish writing your plans, it is good to end with something very catchy, something that will catch the imagination of your assessor. Okay, so I think that is what I have on the career essay. So generally, as some final tips from my end, I want to believe that as many people as are listening to this or will listen to it later must have already started. In fact, your essay should be half finished, if not finished. By this time, I believe that you should be at the stage of tweaking, restructuring, and correcting. If, as at this time, you've not put down your essay, then that's very dangerous. So I would want to encourage us to get to it. The time is slowly ticking down, and before you know it, it will be the deadline for submission. So I want to also advise that in as much as it is good to turn in your applications early, please don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. It is okay to submit in the last week. It is true that in the last week of submission, the network, because a lot of people are trying to submit, so the network might be slow. It doesn't matter. Take your time. Just make sure you have dotted your I's and crossed your T's. Don't be in a hurry to submit, but make sure you leave enough space to submit before the deadline. Then we can't say this enough. Please make sure you get your essays reviewed by trusted people, okay? And be careful of the websites that you upload your essay on for grammatical checks and for plagiarism checks. Be careful, because if you're not careful, you could upload, if you're not careful and you upload your essay on a questionable website, you will put yourself in trouble, because when these essays are submitted, they are also passed by the Chevening organization. The essays are passed into very high-tech plagiarism softwares, plagiarism check softwares. And if you have made the mistake of you uploaded your essay in a questionable website, that software may flag your essay as plagiarized. Meanwhile, it is yours originally, just because you uploaded it on a website that wasn't safe. So you need to be careful where you upload to run your grammar checks and to do your plagiarism. Once more, I want to remind us, anything you put in your essay, whether you claim you have a blog, whether you claim you belong to a professional association, whether you claim you have a very large social media following, or you are a social media administrator of a very large group, please make sure all these things are done before you get shortlisted for the interview. Because I can assure you, if your essay makes it to the shortlist list, everything that you spoke about will be, you will have to prove that what you wrote about is true. You will have to defend it, and it's always very sad. It's always very annoying because it is not an easy thing to get shortlisted. So you can imagine how sad it is that somebody gets shortlisted and next thing, the person doesn't succeed in the interviews because the person wasn't able to defend what they wrote. So please write your essays by yourself. And after writing, internalize it. After writing, make it part of you, so that even when they wake you up in your sleep and ask you any question regarding your essay, you will be able to say it as your own story. So I think that's where I'll stop for now. So Nonso, you can add any other thing you want to add. Thank you.
Nothing from my end because I think all the points has been actually covered comprehensively. Comprehensively. I don't think there's anything I could add that's not already been said. Like you've covered everything, and so in case, are there any questions for?
For now, no, there are no questions. All right. That is a whole lot. It's a whole lot of value. It's a whole lot of value. I can really thank you both a lot. I'll just say penning down, even though I know I will still go back to what the YouTube link again. All right. For many that will be watching this live section, the pre-recorded version on YouTube, you can do where to drop your questions there. I know this will be going out from this moment, from tomorrow. Many people will be viewing this because the closure date is just near, and many people will be finding as much information as possible to aid them in putting up a winning scholarship. All right, so if you'll be having any concerns, any question, just drop it on the chat box on the YouTube link. And secondly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we'll be bringing you much more value. We'll be bringing you much more value. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Then share to as many as possible. All right, there are people who need this information. Most of them can't get it handy because they don't know how to go about it. All right, we did this so that we can be able to aid as many that want to scale through the Chevening scholarship. Okay, so don't withhold this information from them. It's very, very valuable. Like I mentioned initially, they took out their time to prepare for this. All right, we are in no way representing the Chevening body. That is to say, nobody is paying them and the rest of them. They took out their time, more of like a humanitarian service, to put this together for the public to actually get value from their experience and also put up something good for the scholarship. So if you know who this will help, all right, shoot this out to them, share to them, subscribe on the channel so that you can get much more value or bringing you much more value. All right, before we round off the section, I will bring Madam Oge to just say in few seconds, all right, just give us your final words of conclusion. We want to hear from you again. We really appreciate your time. Just in few seconds before we round up the section.
Oh, well, we've already said quite a lot, and if you look at me just from saying these things, you can see that it is quite exhausting, and this is just because just from saying. So
exactly,
I can't even begin to explain how draining and how taxing this process is. So I know we said this at the beginning. This is a long process, both the process of applying, the process of writing your essay, then the process of waiting. It can be quite nerve-wracking, you know? But the thing is, at the end of it all, it is well worth it. So I want to encourage anybody out there who is applying for this or who is interested in getting a scholarship. You need to invest time. You need to invest time. It's not something that you just wilds into and wilds out. No, you need to invest time because you need to think deep. You need to have an introspective, you need to think deeply into your life about everything you've done, for you to be able to make this worth it. So I just want to encourage everybody, even though it may be tiring, it may be exhausting, but just keep at it. And I want to assure you that, let me be sincere, not everybody that applied got it. But can I assure you that if you make out the time it takes to do your due diligence regarding the Chevening application, even if eventually you don't end up with Chevening, I can assure you that you will end up with another scholarship. Remember, there are many scholarships out there. But the thing with Chevening is Chevening helps you to think deep and to think far. And Chevening is one of the most taxing application processes. You know, it's one of the scholarship application that is long and drawn out. And if you're able to do something with this Chevening, it is easier to get other scholarships. So just keep at it, keep applying, and keep hoping. And we trust that sooner than later, you will succeed. So thank you.
All right, that is a final wrap from Oge. We really appreciate your final conclusion. All right, Mr. Elvis, do you have anything to chip in before we round up the section?
Nothing at all. Just pray. Yes, by the time you've written a very fantastic essay, I remember during my when I was writing my essays and I got to the deadline, and I realized that I had only like few minutes before the deadline, and the portal was misbehaving. I had to go to my church to actually submit the essays. So it's just a very funny story because I had put in so much mental energy and I couldn't just imagine myself not submitting it. So I think another thing again is just to commit it in the hands of supernatural beings, and you've done your best here. There's the fact you have given it your best, your life will definitely not be the same after you've completely written those essays, not rushed through it, but if you actually put in your whole heart writing this essay, you definitely see a significant change. You start thinking, processing a lot of things about your life differently than you actually did before. So that'll be all from me. Thank you very much for the time.
All right, you're the funny one. Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis. It's very important putting it in the hands of God, God factor. All right, we have come to the conclusion of the whole section. I believe you got value. All right, I believe you got so much value. All right, thank you so much, Madam Oge. Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis. We never take this for granted. We never take this for granted. Thank you so much for dishing out knowledge, for dishing out tips that will actually help thousands of persons to scale through the Chevening scholarship. And one amazing thing about this recording thing is, even though some persons will not see it now, when it comes to next application, people will always see it because it's something we'll always keep on promoting, and the rest of them. And I actually knew you actually put in your best to make this section a success. All right, for every person that will be watching this YouTube, watching from the YouTube, all right, take out your time and okay, so you can put up a good essay. Take out your time to go through the section. They actually put in a lot, so take out the time to go through the section. If it means you downloading it on your phone, do so, go through it so that it will not be a waste to you. All right, thank you so much, everyone. All to my YouTube family, do it to subscribe to the channel. We'll be bringing you much value. All right, have a great good night. Cheers. See you later. Cheers. Bye. All right, Madam Oge, see you. Mr. Elvis, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.